All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We're beyond like thrilled that you've taken the time to be with us. I'm Ira, and this is Rachel. We're the founders of Top of the Mountain Retreats. I kind of feel like I'm almost like in an infomercial here. Okay, like welcome. But together, really, we work with these high impact, ambitious women just like you, who are ready to shatter their limiting beliefs and step boldly into their next chapter. So before we dive in, I actually want to share a little bit about my own journey with you. So maybe it was something that you resonate with. For a long time, like I was kind of running on empty. Like I am one of these people, I'm always busy, I'm doing a million things, and I'm very involved in the community. I'm always giving to my work, to my family. And I felt pressure really to be like everything to everyone. And on the outside, I
I'm just
really,
going to pause you. I'm going to be the annoying interrupter this entire time and
okay.
say when Mira says she was doing everything for everyone, I know we're all people who are doers, but I just need you to understand that Mira's actually running like a full, robust business alongside a full, robust nonprofit organization and a very big family and a whole bunch of what most people would call full-time jobs, but she might just call like projects. So whatever she's saying, just amplify it by 100.
Okay, thanks, Rachel.
There we go.
So no, I was holding it all together. Like again, I'm a good multitasker. I do a lot of things, but on the inside, I was burning out and I was exhausted. I wasn't connected to my own needs. Like I was caught in this cycle of just pushing harder, doing more, and like never stopping to ask, what do I actually want? Who am I beyond all these roles? So I actually hit a breaking point. Okay. Not terrible, but it was, I did hit a breaking point, and it forced me to take a hard look at the stories that I was living by. Stories about success, about worth, about what it meant to be a strong, capable woman. And at the end of this webinar, I'm going to share with you the PS of my story. Okay. So I'm gonna
Stay
turn it over.
tuned.
I'll leave you in suspense. Okay, make you stay to the end. And I'm going to turn it over to Rachel. She's going to share some of her story.
Yes, thank you, Maira. Okay, well, my story isn't that different, but it has its own twists and turns. At the heart of it, though, I was very deeply committed to building community. Maybe you have this. Maybe this might sound familiar to you, where I just wore a lot of hats. I was a leader in the business that I was running, as a wife, as a mother. I was really dedicated to building out my local community. I felt this immense responsibility to show up as the best version of myself in all of these roles and present with a certain exterior. But beneath that exterior, I was actually really struggling. And I had created what I now see in hindsight is I had created a version of myself that was very much what I thought I should appear like or project, but it really wasn't the whole picture. I felt deeply fragmented. And I felt like I had something on the outside that was like really shining through and very empty on the inside. And I felt stuck and trapped in this image that I was working so hard to kind of maintain. And it really wasn't until I allowed myself to confront that gap of who I really was and truly was versus what I was presenting to the world that I understood the challenge, how big that difficulty was, and did something about it. And I started, and this is what today is really all about. I started to peel back the layers of these like old stories I was telling myself about myself. And whatever story, we all have stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves. And that is very much going to shape how we show up in the world. But because of the story that I was telling myself, I felt like I had to be perfect. I really felt like my worth was tied to my achievements, and I it took me some time to really step into finding my own voice, but so much is available was became available as a result. My business changed. I was able to have much more impact in my business. My sense of purpose changed, my relationships, and most importantly, my own happiness and authenticity and leadership. So today we're going to dive right in to starting your journey right here and now of identifying and rewriting the stories you are living by, stories that may be holding you back, keeping you stuck, or making you feel small in some way. And here's the kicker before I hand this over to Mira. We are it is our 80% of our operating system that we are not even aware of are these stories. So in this moment, we don't even know what stories exist that are dictating how we show up and what we believe. Go ahead, Mira.
Thanks. And I will encourage you if anybody does want to turn on their screen. Okay.
Mhm.
Would love that. We don't care if you're doing laundry, whatever you're doing, but like just if you want to, it would be more helpful for us just for
And
the,
it's more valuable for you if we can engage.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Rena. Hi.
Okay, so we're going to be sharing like three key ideas with you today. And the first one is we call it like rewrite your story. So we all live by stories, and that's what Rachel mentioned before, like the story of who we are, what we deserve, what's possible for us. And these stories shape every decision that we make, like how we show up in relationships, how we run our businesses, how we lead our teams. But here's the thing. See, most of these stories aren't true. Like they're inherited, they're absorbed from the world around us, from what our parents told us, from societal expectations, from the roles that we play, like just to survive. So I'm going to give you an example. Like, have you ever thought to yourself, I'm just not the type of person that can ask for help. I personally, I'm terrible at asking for help. Like I hate asking for help. I never want to do it, right? Like, oh, I need to keep pushing because if I slow down, that would just mean I'm failing or whatever those are for you. Like these are stories and they limit us in ways that we don't even always recognize. But the good news is that you can always rewrite your story. We can rewrite our stories. We can create a narrative that actually empowers you to live with purpose, impact, and joy. So like imagine like what could happen if you told yourself, I am deserving of support or taking care of myself makes me a better leader. And I personally always talk about mantras and like these phrases that we're using and so many of them, these mantras, these stories are just not helpful to our growth. So we want you to stop living by default and to start living by design, right? Like intentionally, purposely, and have a story that fuels your growth and fulfillment and doesn't detract from it, doesn't take away from it. So um, we're going to ask you like what your current story is. And this is an exercise that's going to be a little bit difficult for you to do alone. So we want you to choose like, we're going to give you like a classic story of what ambitious women tell themselves and see if it resonates. So here's what,
Before you do that, Mira, I
yeah,
want to make sure everyone understands, like, if anyone has any questions, just to clarify what we're saying here, please ask. What we're saying is that there are stories that we have that are determining how we feel about ourselves and how we show up in the world. And we are not aware of all those stories and beliefs that we have about ourselves. And those are the things that might be slowing us down or holding us back from the progress that we want to make. So I want to make sure everyone who wants to ask a clarification question, just please don't hesitate to ask. It's such a tiny group. You can unmute yourself and just ask it. Go ahead, Mira. Sorry.
yeah, thank you. I mean, just think about it. Like we have these like brilliant, capable women who are stuck in outdated stories, right? We're playing small. We're holding ourselves back. So it's not because these women aren't driven. It's because they haven't given themselves permission to rewrite their story. So if we could just take a minute, I will ask you, hopefully, if people can share. But like, what story have you been living by that no longer serves you? I want you to write it down and then like put a thumbs up in your screen when you're done. So this doesn't have to be like, we're not like going back. This isn't like a therapy session, but I want you to think about, sorry, but I want you to think about like, again, what are the messaging that we're telling ourselves, those stories that when we think about it, it's really holding ourselves back.
Just to ask, if you don't mind unmuting yourself, what's your name from Growing Impact Publications?
Sorry,
No
Avital
worries.
Getz.
Avital. Okay, nice to meet you.
Hi.
Okay, nice. So yeah, so Mira, are we taking a minute now for people to slow down and
Yeah,
just think
yeah,
about
I
this?
think so. Just take a
Okay.
minute because I really want to like this to develop and it's like just a
Yeah.
really important thing.
I'll just say while they're doing this, like I think that it was also for me, not just a story, but a picture in my head of what it was supposed to look like for me to be myself. Meaning, I think I used to, when I was doing a lot for everybody else and running on fumes, I kind of felt I had these like weird values and beliefs in my picture was like never sit down and always be running and busy. And like, if there's like everything's a billable hour, even if it's like from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. at night, like everything had to be kind of, I had to prove my worth in every single moment of my life almost. And a huge shift for me was actually like embracing a very different identity than the woman who was going to run herself ragged in leadership. So that whether it sounds like a story or it looks like a picture, just try to think about even our mothers, like or mentors of ours that we maybe didn't realize we were picking things up along the way of a certain image of what it meant to be a woman, like a great woman. And really, those things might be slowing us down or holding us back from the impact that we could be making. Or maybe not. Maybe it serves you. Do we want people to share, Mira, or just write?
Yeah, like if anyone is comfortable sharing, this is a safe space. I know, we don't all know each other very well, but if anyone is here sharing, and it doesn't, again, it doesn't have to be your deepest, darkest secrets. It just could be something like something, a
Uh,
story that you're like, you know, this is really
Vanessa
not.
actually, oh yeah, sorry, Rena, go ahead.
I'm not really understanding what I'm supposed to be like. I don't know. It's understanding what you're looking for.
So yeah, what we're trying to identify is what is this is very difficult work to do. So and there's no way to fully do it here, but we want to introduce you to the idea that there is a story that we all live by about who we are and what we're capable of and how we're supposed to show up. And in a lot of ways that story serves us, but in certain ways it holds us back. There's this beautiful speech, commencement speech by David Foster Wallace, and he starts by talking about two young fish swimming in the ocean. And an older fish swims by and says, "How's the water today, boys?" And the young fish look at each other and keep swimming. And one fish says to the other, "What's water?" And the idea is, it's like it's the air we breathe. It's like the water that we're swimming in. We don't even realize that it's there. So, Rena, if you're brave, maybe you would be willing to share out loud what is like the picture of a high level leader right now in your mind?
A high level.
Would you identify as a female leader?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm a business owner. I have
Yeah.
to, yeah, I guess
Okay.
so.
What kind of business are you running?
I have an interior design firm.
Nice. Okay. Do you have either a story in your mind or a picture in your mind of how that woman is supposed to show up?
How I'm supposed to present myself to
Yeah.
others, to my team,
Yeah, but
to my
not physically,
family.
not like I have to look pretty,
No, no,
more,
no, no. I
yeah.
understand. I understand it comes naturally. No.
She woke
Um,
up like this.
no, I'm saying to who? I have many different personas, right? Because I am to my team, to my staff and my team, it's one thing. To my in my home and my home life, it's another. To my clients, even that's a little bit different.
Okay, good. So actually, this is super helpful. Can you give a one-liner for all three? Your staff, your
For each
clients,
of the
and your
three,
home.
for each of the three
Yeah.
separately, not that one. Okay. So, ooh, let me, it takes a second. Well, let's talk about to my clients. I've got it organized, competent, and professional, but human, still human.
What do you mean
To
by human? Not to ask an obvious
mean,
question.
well, I'm a very service-based business and I have a very service approach. So I like to also, but on the other hand, I also like to connect with them because by connecting, because in my thing, I have to get into the guts of who they are and their lifestyle, and I have to have a lot of personal information. So I got to really connect. So I have to be human as well. Like I have to show
Okay,
my
so I got it. Okay. Like very organized, competent, professional, but also like deeply connective.
yes.
Okay.
And I'm a person who gets them, who understands because they've got to bare their souls at many times.
Okay, so
So
that's your clients.
that's my clients. I think actually not so differently to my team. But I have to be a little more assertive, right? I have to be a little more take charge, but have the balance of them. You know, I have to help them develop their into bring out all their talents and also help them be their independence within the framework of our team, right? That makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm just going to use, I'm like writing down your thoughts, but so assertive, but and the word I would assign to what you're describing is sort of like empowering.
Okay, that's the word. Thank you.
Okay.
Have to be that for my and as I said, it some of these are in all three of my aspects, and as a wife, mother, and grandmother, I have to be um to show a lot more of my human side, and but also still be very impactful and uh, very organized. And what
Can I
else?
can I chime in with a word?
Sure, yes, please.
I mean, exhausting, right? Like, so you know
No,
what? That's
that's
but that's
bad.
what it is. Like we have to be all these things, and like it's not really humanly possible to
It
be all these
is
things. I mean,
She's
it
like,
is.
I do it. I do it in my sleep with my hands on
my
my face.
life.
But I also did it. I also do it. I do a million things,
Of
and
course.
I
You
hold it
also
together, right? Because like I'm a capable person, but sometimes in the inside, it's exhausting.
Well,
And
for
yeah,
Maira, it was
it's
exhausting. For
tiring.
you,
It
Rena,
is.
what was it for you?
No, no, you're right. It is. And sometimes I'm just like, it's very hard to be everything to everybody at once. And it's like, I'll look at my husband and go, yeah, no, no neediness there. I can't. You're the last.
Actually,
But
Rena, I love what you just said. Be everything to everyone. That is a story that we tell ourselves and I think women in particular, we tell ourselves, I have to be everything to everyone. And again,
you can't.
80% of the time it serves the business and it serves the home and we're fine, we're functioning. But there is an element that can be tapped into if we come from potentially from a different place than be everything to everyone. And I think that's what we're talking about here. What do you think, Rena?
Right.
I see your face.
No, 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 no. I agree. And I'm trying to learn in my own personal life, like how to prioritize certain things. Whereas,
prioritize like yourself.
well, no, also it's like, okay, things that I've learned, things that I can give over and to others that don't have to be my principal
Right.
responsibility, I'll do that. Like, so I've learned to buy food for the house for Shabbos as opposed to making it
Mm,
many times, like, many things.
hmm.
Going out, like I'm like, you know what? They do a great job. The takeout does a wonderful job at times, and I love to cook, and I'm a gourmet cook, but
What city are you in, Rena?
I'm in Miami.
Oh, nice. Um, one
Okay.
more question for you, and then
Yeah.
I wanted to ask Avital also, but I guess I'm curious about like when I look at the list, impactful, organized, competent, professional, deeply connective, empowering. That's how you describe in different ways how you show up for your team, your clients, and your home. What would you say are the top three ways you would show up for yourself?
Um, well, I do take time out. Um,
Adjectives like the ones you used, like impactful, organized, competent, professional, connected. Like, what are the adjectives you would describe for yourself?
um, so I know how I know how to zone out and to take time.
What would you call that?
I'm looking for a one word thing, but I prioritize my
Calm?
no, I'm just saying like I know how to like either go away and just
Like
decompress
self-care.
or even my self-care. Thank you. That's a good word. Um, Sundays, it's like don't talk to me, anybody. I won't speak to a client. I don't like that is my day. I'll sit outside in the sun, read a book. I will just totally so I've learned how to do that also, and that's like really important to me.
Yeah,
But I
love
don't
it.
know that in one word.
But we get the gist. Avital, do you have something for us?
I was thinking of like almost like imposter syndrome. Like, I don't know if that's exactly what you're looking for, but something that I find myself grappling with is like, who am I to be doing this? Am I capable enough? Like, I ask myself that all the time. I'm my own like biggest critic, you know? So that's something
Who
that
died and
I
left me in
find.
charge? That's the what I used to always say to myself. Like, who died and left me in charge?
I love it. Okay, Avital, that's good. So let's hang on to that. Imposter syndrome, being everything to everyone, any kind of story that comes up that you feel like might be something that serves you a lot, but also might have a shadow side. And
So
Meir, I think you're still going on for key idea too.
And Sabina just wrote in the chat. I don't know if you want to,
Oh,
well, she didn't write about this, but do you want to chime in?
How do I chime in?
hi, Savina.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so let's, if
You
feel
hear
free
me?
to, yes, we hear
Oh,
you.
okay, great, great.
Thank you for being here. Okay, Mira, you want to get to key point 2?
Yeah. Well, I mean, did you want to share yours or should we go?
I think she was just welcoming,
Oh,
saying hello.
okay. Hi. Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay, great. So, yeah. So for the second key idea, right? The first one is just, the story of rewrite your story. The second idea is the hidden cost of staying in your old story. And this is like important because there's a cost to staying in this story and it's more expensive than you think. And I want you to like write this down. Like, what's the cost of staying in your current story? These messages that you're sending yourself, like, how much is this actually costing you for you to keep going and believing that this is reality and this is how the way it has to be? So let's talk about cost, right? There's burnout, there's resentment. It's that constant feeling of like, there's got to be more of this. Like, do I have to keep doing this? So, and I know, obviously, I personally know that feeling intimately because I've been there and I've been stuck in this like story of perfectionism, of thinking I had to be everything for everyone, like all this type of stuff. Like I definitely resonate with me. But for so many of us, this story we've inherited has us stuck in a cycle of overgiving and under receiving. And we sacrifice our well-being and our creativity and even our joy sometimes, all in the name of like just being enough. So, but the truth is that the cost of staying in that old story is far greater than the discomfort of writing it. So of rewriting it. So whatever that is, it's like, oh, what I'm gonna do this now. I'm gonna do this. This person's gonna be upset. But if we don't do it, it's gonna be far more costly in the long run. So like imagine if you just stayed in your current story for another 5 years. You told yourself, I'm not good enough, I have to do everything for everyone. Whatever that story is for you, you might be very successful now and you might keep pushing and pushing and pushing. But how much more impact and wealth you're blocked from so much more. Like you could accomplish again exponentially more if you were aware of this story and you figured out how to just let it go. And if we could again maybe take a like 30 seconds. You don't have to share this, but take 30 seconds, just write down like what is the cost of staying in this old story? Like what would happen if I
Even
kept
if you don't have clarity on what the story is, but just knowing that there's more inside of you that you could unleash into the world. What's the cost of not doing that? Sorry, Mira.
no, thanks.
So we'll take 30 seconds to do that. So just to recap, key idea 1 was identify a story. And again, we see that that's not a simple thing to expose. It's in our unconscious. And number 2 is what is the cost of staying in the identity we have? It's taken us far. It's taken us super far. It's how we got to where we are now. But it's also preventing us from where we want to go next.
And by the way, Rita, just to resonate with something that you had said, you said, oh, like, your husband comes, you're like, I don't have time for this. Like I
That
also,
was so relatable.
yeah, that was relatable. And also like, oh, even for like kids or like whoever, like, I don't have time for you to like, this is, you're just listening right now. We can't, like, but sometimes like, we think about the cost of that, of people feeling like there are, we don't have time to deal with them, right? There's a cost to that. And I'm speaking to myself here, like the cost of a child or a spouse feeling like, I don't really have time for you. You're too needy. You're annoying. And, obviously that's something that, so what is the cost of that, right? What is the cost of someone in your life feeling like that? And I'm talking to myself. So, I've actually read, I'm very into like time management and executive functioning. And there's a guy who he wrote a book on time and he says, what you own time. Like, why would you ever tell someone I don't have time for this? If you want to make time, if there's something important to you, you're gonna make time for it. And there is no such thing as not having enough time. And I was like, since he said that, every time I catch myself saying to a kid, like, or see, I don't have time for this. And I'm like, I have time. I'm gonna come to it later. So never the cost of that is just high. Yeah. So Rachel, why don't you
Uh-oh, you muted.
oops,
You're
I
doing
meant
good.
to say, okay, I don't know why. Why don't you go on now to the third key idea?
Okay. Yes. The third key idea, and this one is like so universal that I've seen as well, especially for high achieving women, is that high achieving women exert way more output, exponentially more output than they receive input. And what do I mean output and input? when I say output, I mean, what's the impact I'm making in my business or my organization, and who are the people that I'm reaching, and how can I more support them, and how can I give to my clients so they feel really good, and how can I empower my team better, and how can I make my children feel really like I'm being present emotionally, and how can I make sure that my spouse and I are really building out this marriage intentionally, and how can I make sure that I'm a pillar in my community, and really how can I be everything for everyone. That's what output is. And again, that is nothing but like ambition, beautiful, deep soul level ambition. Nothing wrong with it. The key here is what's the input, what's coming in. Every great business knows if you're going to create a beautiful product, you're going to need some kind of investment, some kind of capital to start creating it. So what are we doing to create ourselves? What is, and there's sort of key components to being ourselves: confident, courageous, calm, connective. These are all the like parts, of IFS. Compassionate, clear. What are we doing to create ourselves as human beings? So think about it. With all our ambition and achievement, we rarely slow down to reflect, to recharge, and to strategize. We don't get the support we need to amplify our impact. I just actually ran a webinar right before this one. I was the only woman in the room, and it was a bunch of men, and they were all heads of nonprofits, and it was difficult for some of them when I called on them to even ask a question, because they had not been given. So it's not just a unique to women thing. They had not slowed down to really understand what they were struggling with. So this idea of getting input, getting time, getting space to slow down, to reflect, to strategize, so that then we can amplify our impact. We can work smarter, raise the bar higher for wealth or people in our lives. We block our own creativity and confidence when we don't, and our own leadership gets really hindered. So what that looks like is you're running on fumes, you're constantly solving everyone else's problems. It feels unintentional or chaotic. You feel like you're juggling a ton and it feels impossible to step back and see the bigger picture. When our input and output don't match, we get really deeply depleted. And a depleted leader cannot create magic and transformation that we are truly capable of. But imagine what would happen if you intentionally built in resources, energy, and support. What kind of input you would be able to create for yourself that would reflect far greater output. And Mira, that's really how it started with the Top of the Mountain retreats, right? Like this is exactly how you came out. Did you tell them the story of how you came out to Phoenix?
No, like, so it's actually funny, like when so for people that don't know, so Rachel and I run these retreats, I could tell you a little bit more, but the it's so interesting. Like I came out because was actually in this burnout stage, and Rachel, said, come out, let's just spend time, let's have like powerful conversations, let's connect, and let's do something fun. And I love hiking, so we definitely ended up on
Can
a
I just frame up your story and say
yeah,
that Mira, like I said, does a ton. She's very mission driven. All of her obligations that she had, it was like something had snuffed out her light. Like it was like, because I knew her, I could see that she was like not herself. It was like there was some like being someone who's so driven to create such high levels of impact that Mira has, and she's so high capacity at what she can create, but she was so busy doing. The light had really started to fade. Anyway, Mira, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, I mean, like Rachel was like, okay, you have to come, and I was like, come out, just come out like tomorrow. And I was like, come out tomorrow. I'm the most like type A. I never miss a meeting. I'm there exactly on time to every single thing. Like she was like, just come, cancel all your meetings, just get on a plane. I was like, this is so out of character. Like I remember I went home and I was like, okay, so you okay if I just leave for a few days to Arizona? Like it was the most random out of character thing. And I was like, you know what? I was like, just go. Like I just needed to do it for myself. I canceled all my meetings. And by the way, just so everyone knows, like nobody cared. Okay. Everyone was like, enjoy. Like it was like all the pressure I had on myself of like, I can never cancel a meeting. I can never do anything like that. Um, all of it just kind of like faded, away. And I went. I mean, I could tell you more, but
By the end of her time here, which she was only here a couple days, we took a hike together. And by the end of her time here, we did coffee, and she was a different person. She was glowing, radiant, and full of ideas, full of her creative self, energized deeply. It was like someone had turned the lights back on inside. And afterwards, I would text Maira because I live here in Phoenix, and I would see the mountain that we climbed from my backyard. And I would like every time I saw the top of the mountain, I would look at it and think of her, and I would take pictures and send it to her and say, "I'm thinking of you." And we that's how it was sort of born, that we started this experience for women that we just did in Camelback in November. We're doing another one in Las Vegas in March. But the idea was like, what if people came out of their hustle and grind and stepped into a transformative space where, yeah, they took a hike, they got into nature, they actually had fun and nourished themselves and slowed down. Well, we did these incredible transformative sessions where we drew out people's highest levels of leadership and what makes them absolutely irreplaceable so that they could be in their genius zone and develop like the North Star that's going to be so huge and magnetic that they can be excited every day to be in process and to enroll others. So that was really where the whole thing was born, for those of you who know about the retreats or who don't. But anyway, it was incredible to see, Maira, you go from being exhausted to being this radiant version of yourself. And I want to say that, like, these three key ideas are really what we call the 3 R's. So if you're someone who writes notes, the 3 R's for the key ideas would be recognize, i.e., recognize the story you're living by. What's the beliefs you're holding on to? Recognize the narrative that no longer serves you, because what got you here won't get you there. Number 2 is release. We have old stories. We have present stories that we're not aware of. What's the hardest part to release? And what is required to let go of that identity that keeps us safe? And lastly, the 3rd R is rewrite. Step into your new story that reflects the vision of who you are, your truest and highest self, boldly, unapologetic, and fully in your power. And this is a lot to take in.
And then we added, and then we added a 4th R.
Oh, yeah. And the 4th R, right, is retreat. Oh, okay, Nikki.
That's what that was our 4th R that we
Yes,
added.
for sure. I mean, that's definitely huge. That it's not just a retreat; it's a turning point. It's a chance to step into a version of ourselves that we knew we could always be. But let's open the floor. You know what? I'll put the link for the retreats in the chat so people can take a look if they want. But let's open the floor now to really get in Q&A on Hot Seat Coaching. This is actually where all the value is around these 3 R's, whether it's recognizing the story that we have been telling ourselves, trying to understand what's the imposter syndrome or what's the belief that I have that's holding me back, releasing it. How do I release it? And rewriting a new script. Meanwhile, I'll put this in, but guys, just please feel free to come in with this is kind of where the juice is in terms of getting any kind of transformation or upgrade for yourself and your business. So ask any question you want. I'm just putting the link in here. There we go. Feel free to look at our website if you would like to join us. We would love to have you. I know Vanessa had to go, but she's going to come in later, Maira, and ask, or she'll come in afterwards because I have her contact info.
Okay, perfect. Did anyone here have like a hard time with just thinking about their story and what are their messages or what's holding you back? Yeah, Sabina, can we help you for that?
Yeah, well, yeah, in a way, yes. I'm retired, so I used to run reimagining engagements for senior executives at the bank, and my new business I'm doing right now is so I'm familiar with all your key components and your workshop. I forgot basically the approach that you're using, recognize and the release, and I get that, and I like the idea of the retreat. I would imagine you go there not only for physical fresh air, but also to network, and also I would imagine you have workshops to help with some of these things, right?
Yeah, and not only that, I actually want to chime in. We do a hike every time when we have a retreat, but the hike is not, I mean, I happen to love hiking and I could go every day, but
Yeah,
the hike is not as much for the physical exercise as it is for the limiting,
mental.
the mental, the limiting beliefs that we tell ourselves, those messages that we're telling ourselves as we try to get to the top of the mountain. You can't do this. just turn around and so much longer, like all these things that just those messages that we're sending ourselves. And I want people to start being aware of them. So when we do the hike, it is through that lens. I mean, again, I love the exercise, but it is for that lens. Of course, there's the networking, and of course, there's these really deep workshops where people walk out. I just remember, I mean, Rachel and I were obviously there together, but like there were women that literally walked out no matter what their businesses were. People were heads of big companies. They were, it doesn't matter if they were marketing, if there were CEOs running luxury stores. I mean, everyone was doing something different, but people literally came out, were like, they felt like they had a new purpose. They knew exactly what direction. They had that clarity. Like it was amazing to watch people. Like the way I came out of the when I went to Arizona to visit Rachel was just like watching their face light up and feeling like they're, I don't know, I want to say born again. It sounds a little bit like weird, but just like you could see in their face, like they were just
You
like,
can do anything. Absolutely, you
yeah,
can
they were
do
like,
anything.
take on the world. It was so cool. Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
definitely a mix.
So I wanted to let you know many of these challenges I overcome. I actually prevent the negative thoughts into my mind. I'm very focused on target state and how to get there quicker. So it's not a challenge for me even to take larger projects and deliver. What is a challenge is sometimes you do get burned out, and I agree with you, and you get overwhelmed. You're too much in the rut, in the details, and you're right. You need to step back and sometimes revisit or view. And that's like lessons learned. After every project, there's always lessons learned. What can I do easier? My challenge in the business is how do I duplicate myself, right? How to find the right people that are affordable and capable to help grow, because the people that I train and sort of take over are great people. I just need more of that in order to grow. And then strategy, there is a vision, there is a strategy. I don't know how far it will take me because what I do is very unique. It's a balloon art. It's unconventional, nothing you've seen before. It's literally sculptures made out of balloons. This is not your typical arches or your typical helium, no helium. So because of that specific product launch, right? Product line, I need somebody who can duplicate it. It's hard to find people at the right time, at the right place. It's hard to grow because right now they're all part-time. You don't know how long they're going to last. You don't have the full-time capacity yet. I mean, this is part of the strategy.
Sabina,
So
where do you live?
I'm in New York.
So we should talk offline. I have a client. I do a lot of business consulting. I help people grow and hire, and I have a client that does balloons also. So maybe we could.
Match up. Yes, that's exactly what I'm going for. I need somebody who is invested into the business and want to pair up. So I think that would be great if we.
As Rena speaking, I have a interior designer who's a client, and then I have each person speaking. I want to, who else is here? But yeah, we should definitely connect because I could be that we could.
Awesome.
Yeah, but you know what? It's really, first of all, I love how you identify your strengths. You know what you're good at, and you know where your challenges are, and that is a very common challenge just with businesses in general. Like people are, there's a lot going. There's just not enough people, not enough talent. We train them. We need more people. This is a challenge that's across the board. And I'm working always to solve this problem, but it's not a unique challenge. But the challenge is real. So, but if we could open our eyes to a little bit of ways of thinking differently, I'm trained in a method of innovation. And, if we could just open our eyes to just see challenges differently, to look at solutions in ways that are not necessarily in places we always thought, then there are solutions out there. So we can connect offline.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
You want me to, do you have my
Just
contact
email
info?
me.
Do you want me to put it on the chat?
Sure, perfect. Or you could email me. Sure, perfect. That's great.
Awesome. Thanks.
Rena, you have further thoughts after this?
My furthest thoughts? Oh, it's
Rena,
somebody else. I'm
Rena,
sorry.
sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, nothing that's nothing that's really coming.
When it looked like you were weighing something, is there like what if it's I'm super open to any candor you have also. Is there like a mixed feeling about what we're saying here or what were
No,
you
no, no,
weighing?
no, not at all. I'm just like trying to figure out how to apply what you're saying
Yeah.
and, you know, my weakness is like I'm at a crossroads. I need to grow into the next stage and I'm struggling with that. And yeah, there is definitely something holding me back. I'm not sure. Maybe it's the know-how, the how to do it, and I'm
Can
just
you sketch out for us what the next stage is for you?
um do you have all day? No.
Well, if you're going to
No,
kind of put the vision into a few sentences, what might the vision be?
no, I want to grow to the next level. I want to, well, my goal has been to take my firm and grow it into something that is going to be saleable in the next
That's
8
always the
to 10
goal.
years,
Yeah.
right? Something like that, so that one day when I'm ready to retire, as I'm getting older, I don't want to just like, okay, I'm closing down my business. I want to have something to sell, but
Rena, maybe we should talk offline also because
yeah, that would
yeah,
be
this is
great.
like
Thank you.
this is very
I
common.
actually, I've heard about you through the
Oh,
JW, I think,
oh,
but
okay.
I just had a lot going on in my personal life in the last year, so it's just been, so I said, you know what, I was like investigating all the different things, steps to do, and then I'm like, you know what, let me just take a step back, let me get through my own stuff, and
Of
then
course,
we
when it's
can
the right
we
time.
can go back to working on moving my, like, let's just coast right now. So,
You can just put your number in the chat too, even though.
okay, sure.
Perfect. Okay, Sheena. Oh, hi, Sheena. Do
Hello.
you? Hi, welcome.
Thank
I,
you.
I don't know what you heard or didn't hear. Where you've been in and out. So
Right, and I think I joined a little bit late because I forgot about my, and then I got an email about 2:15 letting me know a reminder. Anyway, I'm not a business owner, but it's just something I've always. It's my fault. Sorry, I'm in a cafe right now as well. Apologies. Anyway, this has been interesting. And anyway, I've just always had this inner desire to work for myself. But the idea has never gone really anywhere. Anyway, someone shared the announcement of this webinar. It sounded interesting. So
what do you do
What would you,
for a
yeah.
living? Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry.
What do you do for a living?
I work in accounting. I'm currently the controller at an e-commerce company. The company is filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy a couple months ago, and I'm helping the company work through that right now. And so I'm expecting that my job is going to be finishing up within the next couple months, and so I
You
need
might
to
be
figure out
ready.
what I'm
You
gonna
might,
do after that.
so you might be ready to start your own thing, but you're not sure.
I would love to do something else besides just get another job.
Okay.
I'd love to change things up in my life. Like, yeah,
So that clarity might be helpful for you.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Rachel, right? You want to just speak a little bit about the workshops and like the clarity that people get from them?
Yeah, I mean, I think that no matter where you are on the continuum, whether you are preparing to build something out that's aligning your passion and purpose and profit in the very beginning stages, or whether you're at a stage in your business where you're looking to scale and grow, or whether you're in a stage of your business where you're looking to actually create something that you can then sell and pass along, in any of those cases, what we do in these sessions is really get the highest level of not just clarity, but of what's possible. So that you are really pushed. You know, if you can dream it alone, your dream is probably not big enough. It's what my coach used to always tell me. And if when you have a seat at the table with people doing very big things in the world, and it's what's drawn out from you becomes a much higher level vision of what you had in mind. So, you know, again, no matter where you are on the continuum, whether it's to launch, to scale, or to create a business that's sellable, being able to get really pushed to the highest level of what can I really achieve here? What is possible from like everything from the bottom line financial ROI to the impact I want to make, the people culture piece of it, and the passion, like what's really lighting me up about this, and to really own your leadership in these decisions, um, and fall in love with the process of getting there. So that's really always underneath these sessions that we are having. Does that answer you, Mira?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Avital, is there something you wanted to add here or ask?
Definitely good food for thought. I mean, I'm still at the beginning of my business, just trying to figure out how to grow and not let financial constraints hold us back, which is always scary. Um, and yeah, like, we started from scratch and just trying to figure things out as we go, and trying to figure out how to take the next step is always like a scary thing. I can say like we throw spaghetti at the wall and like see what sticks. Um, so
And there is and then I think you were the one who talked about imposter syndrome also. And I think the confidence around imposter syndrome and the courage to try things out and see what sticks, but really try it and be all in on it, really go hand in hand. So there's something there, I think, to play with a little bit. If you had to take away this for Avital, and then I'll ask everybody else, one insight that would actually make a huge shift for you around the confidence and the courage piece from this conversation, what might it be?
um, I think I like how you said to weigh like what you're putting out and what you're receiving in, and seeing how rewriting that script will change things. I think that something to really take a good deep dive into what's really going on. It's easy to coast and it's easy to, but at the end of the day, as time passes, like you can either stay in it or you have to, move on to something else.
Just a comment, by the way, you made a comment about like the financial, like, where to invest. It's like, I remember that first time, like I made just that bigger investment and it was scary. Like that first time you like, spend more money than you ever planned, you do something bigger than you ever want, just like the next step in that growth. And, obviously looking back, it was like, it ended up like fueling exponential growth. But I do remember it is really scary, like to make that, it is a real thing, but once you do it, you're just like, you could only look back in hindsight, right? But like you could identify, like when I look back a few years ago, I'm like, I could identify a few decisions that I made as like those were like extremely transformative. You know what I mean? Like that, that retreat, that, program, that each of those things I could like actually point to and say that was transformative for me. So it is it is a real, like, this is something that people have to grapple with, but like when you get over it, it is something that like you could look back and say that's, a defining moment and it was like very rewarding. So, I know I've been there.
Yeah, we just had something like that where we put in a bigger financial investment than we had ever done, and the result was like mind blowing for us. But it's like it. I don't know, like if it gets any easier to do it again.
It doesn't necessarily get easier, but it gets like the decision comes from more intellectual, like you're like, I know, not like I'm hoping, like I see, I know. I did it, it got results. I need to do it again, So like you have more knowledge and knowledge is power, like you're able to make those decisions faster. You don't have to deliberate as much, the more I invest in
And
that.
also, I think the cost of not doing it becomes heavier than the cost of doing it at a certain point of that investment, where it becomes really clear that if I don't invest, I'm really holding myself back from what I want. Rena, what is an insight that you would want to take away, whether it's around developing the business to a point of being sellable or any part of the conversation that you think would really create a big shift for you?
What I'd like to take away, like what I'd like to gain.
Yeah, well, what's one insight that you did gain from today that you can take with you?
Well, I like this recognized thing. I have to, really put some thought into, to get into the headspace space of what I'm, what is, I mean, I sort of know what's holding me back. As I said, just personal stuff. And so I haven't been able to have the headspace, but I really want to get into it and figure out my big challenge is how to do the rewrite. So first find
Mhm.
out what the recognize is, then figure out how to rewrite it. And yeah, that's my thing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Mira, you had this nod in your head when she was saying the rewrite. What came up for you?
I think we're all on a journey. It's not, I can't say like, oh, everything since then, my life, everything is, you know, it's not like I have everything together. I've written my story and it's, I'm done. I'm good. We're all on a journey, but that when we're able to rewrite that and like, you just like have a weight lifted off your shoulder of like, and by the way, I want to share with you something, and I don't know if I did the right thing, but I help out at, like a different nonprofit, and they had an event last night, and I really, I didn't want to go. I felt like I had to, okay, and because I like to commit to things, and I felt like I needed to support the person who was running it, and I did go, okay, and it was not only was disaster, there was no Wi-Fi. I couldn't even like work on my phone at the same time. Like I was sitting in an hour and a half and being like literally like dying, okay, of like boredom, whatever. And but I really, that struggle was there. Like I'm doing this out of obligation. And after, like, I really spent a lot of time like thinking about like, was that the right thing? Can I have done it shorter? Like, what could I have done to support? Like, so again, it's not like it's going to go away, but now I could be more in control of my decisions. Like once you rewrite, it's like you're not a slave anymore. It's on you. If I want to choose to go to this, it's because it's the right thing to do, but that I want to do it and I want to support this person. And if not, I want to invest in this. It's not because I have to, it's because I want to get into the driver's seat where I make the decisions, I make the choices, and they're coming from, again, from what I want and not what I have to. So, I still struggle. The struggle was last night and the struggle was real. So, but it doesn't mean we're not going to struggle again, but it does mean our decisions are not just going to come because this is what we always did. There's no more of this. This is what we've always done. I threw that out the window by COVID. There's no more rules anymore. We could do whatever we want. I don't care if it's been done this way. I don't care if this is how you charge another way. I'm always like working with my clients on how they charge people. Like, oh, we charge, why? Why charge by this? Only, you sell books, charge more. Like charge by a package. I don't care. Charge by the month, charge by the year, it doesn't matter. Like there's no rules. So like rewriting our story, it comes with a lot of freedom. It's just a little scary to get there. But when you get to the other side, when you know how to hire people that are like, you want to hire people and clone yourself you're able to make partnerships and like at the end of the day, you're so much freer. So yeah, kind of
Love
like,
it.
yeah. What came up for you, Rachel?
Well, as I hear you, I mean, because I've known your backstory a little bit. So just hearing you talk from this place of instead of obligation coming from like, what's the impact I want to be making? I'm choosing to be a part of the community event tonight because I want to have that legacy and that impact in the world versus obligation. I know for you, that is such a huge shift. So it's very exciting to hear you talk like that. And, I think in hearing what it's just interesting, I guess, to hear, especially because we have a room filled with women who are very different parts of the continuum in terms of where they're at with their businesses. And I can just really relate to at every single crossroads having this choice between keeping yourself safe and courage. And that crossroads is real every single time, whether you're at the beginning or the middle or the end of it. So I just commend everybody. Thank you guys so much for being here. Mira, thank you for partnering with me on this webinar. We would love to be in touch with you guys. Please connect to us. Mira, did you drop our numbers here?
Yeah, I put it in the beginning, we got
Okay.
contact and, please be in touch if you want information on the retreat, obviously topinthemountainretreats.com. So, but really connect with us. I'm going to follow up with you, but I think everyone here is like, and I like what Rachel said, like, we're all different. Like we're not, and that's okay. And I think that's so healthy. And like, that's part of like the beauty of the groups that we put together are not everyone's in the same place, but everybody's coming from a different perspective. And it's kind of like a little bit, it's just healthy. It's like, I never thought I would even relate to a person like this. They're so different than me. We're not in the same stages, but yet
Yeah.
somehow we all learn from each other. And it's, again, I use the word healthy. I think that's really
Yeah, there's a lot of equalizers, and I think entrepreneurship is one of those equalizers. It's like, yep, I get it. I've been there. I know what it's like. So anyway, I put my WhatsApp here. You can text me or voice note me. Be in touch with me, Maira. We'd love to connect with you guys. Thank you so much for coming. Talk to you guys
Yeah,
soon.
thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll be in touch. We'll be in touch.
I think.